Welcome to Bedtime True Crime, the YouTube channel that takes you on a haunting exploration of the world of true crime, serial killers, and unsolved mysteries. Join us as we journey into the shadows, unearthing spine-tingling tales that will keep you awake at night. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to never miss another thrilling episode. Now get comfortable, turn off the lights, and prepare to be captivated by the sinister side of human nature as we delve into today's bone-chilling story. In the summer of 1969, Hollywood's glitz and glamour were overshadowed by a brutal murder spree that sent shockwaves through Tinseltown. The victims were young, beautiful, and successful, living out their dreams among the rich and famous. Yet on August 8th, those dreams would become nightmares as an insidious evil crept closer to their doorstep. High in the hills above Los Angeles was Cielo Drive, a secluded street lined with luxurious mansions boasting stunning views. It was here that actress Sharon Tate made her home with husband Roman Polanski, a renowned film director. At just 26 years old, Sharon had already achieved considerable success in both television and film. With her captivating beauty and undeniable talent, she seemed destined for even greater stardom. However, unbeknownst to her or anyone else at the time, fate had other plans. On that fateful night in August, while Roman Polanski worked on a film project overseas, his pregnant wife invited friends over for dinner at their opulent estate. Little did they know this seemingly ordinary evening would soon spiral into horror as malevolence lurked beyond their doorstep. As we delve deeper into this chilling tale of bloodshed, orchestrated by Charles Manson and his deranged followers known as the Family, you'll be left questioning how such unspeakable acts could have been committed by seemingly ordinary people under the spell of one man's twisted vision. In today's episode, we will uncover every haunting detail leading up to these gruesome events, while exploring what drove Manson's disciples to commit such heinous crimes against innocent victims who happened to cross paths with them during one terrifying weekend in August 1969. So dim your lights and prepare yourself for a harrowing journey through true crime history as we unravel the shocking story behind the murder of Sharon Tate, a tale filled with dark secrets waiting to be uncovered. As dusk settled on August 8th, Sharon Tate and her friends, renowned hairstylist Jay Sebring, ambitious screenwriter Wojciech Frykowski, and his girlfriend Abigail Folger, heiress to the Folger coffee fortune, were enjoying a serene evening together. They had shared a meal earlier that night before returning to the secluded Cielo Drive residence for some much-needed relaxation. Unbeknownst to them, just miles away from this tranquil scene of camaraderie and laughter, Charles Manson was orchestrating unspeakable horror upon these unsuspecting victims. He assembled 4 of his most devoted followers, Tex Watson, Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, and Linda Kasabian, instructing them in chilling detail to annihilate everyone inside that house where Melcher used to live. Terry Melcher was a music producer who had previously spurned Manson's attempts at launching a musical career. Although Melcher no longer resided there, Manson viewed the occupants as symbolic targets representing those he believed had wronged him. Under the cloak of darkness, the 4 killers stealthily approached their destination with malevolent intent. Slipping through shadows like wraiths, they severed telephone wires outside the property before scaling an embankment leading up to the main entrance. As they crept towards the house clad in black clothing and armed with knives and guns, one can only imagine what twisted thoughts raced through their minds as they steeled themselves for what lay ahead. It was around midnight when fate intervened in the form of Stephen Parent, an 18-year-old student visiting William Garretson, caretaker living on Tate's estate, that fateful night. Little did he know that his decision to leave would place him directly in harm's way. As Parent climbed into his car parked near the gatehouse and switched on its headlights, revealing Watson standing nearby wielding a revolver. Without hesitation or remorse, Watson lunged forward, slashing Parent's arm before shooting him multiple times. The young man's lifeless body slumped over in his car, marking the beginning of a night that would be forever etched into the annals of true crime history. With their bloodlust ignited, and Manson's sinister orders echoing in their ears, Watson and the others proceeded towards the main house, driven by an unrelenting desire to fulfill their twisted mission. Inside, Sharon Tate and her friends were blissfully unaware of the impending doom lurking just beyond their doorstep. As they laughed and chatted amongst themselves, sharing stories and reveling in each other's company, it was impossible for them to fathom that these cherished moments together would soon be shattered by unspeakable violence. As midnight cast its shadow over the main house, Tex Watson, Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, and Linda Kasabian crept closer with sinister intent. Unleashing a storm of violence that would forever scar American history was their sole objective. The unsuspecting occupants were oblivious to the impending doom, their laughter and conversation echoing throughout the spacious living room as they enjoyed each other's company in blissful ignorance. The killers moved with calculated precision, entering through an unlocked door at the rear of the property. Wojciech Frykowski was startled from his nap on a couch by the sudden appearance of Watson before him. In a voice cold as ice, Watson uttered 3 words that heralded the beginning of this nightmarish ordeal. "I am the devil." Before Frykowski could react or comprehend what was happening, he found himself being savagely beaten with Watson's revolver, while Atkins and Krenwinkel rounded up Sharon Tate and her friends. Screams tore through the air, and blood splattered against once pristine walls as it became apparent there would be no mercy for these victims. Jay Sebring attempted to protect Tate, but met brutal force when Watson shot him before stabbing him multiple times. Abigail Folger managed to flee momentarily into the yard outside. However, she couldn't outrun Krenwinkel, who relentlessly pursued her, until ultimately ending her life with repeated stabs. Inside, despite suffering numerous gunshot wounds and stab marks all over his body, Frykowski fought valiantly against his attackers. His desperate struggle proved futile as he too succumbed to this senseless carnage. In those final moments, heavily pregnant Sharon Tate pleaded for her life and that of her unborn child, begging for just enough time to give birth before meeting whatever fate awaited her. But even faced with such raw human emotion and vulnerability, Manson's followers showed no remorse or compassion. They callously stabbed Tate multiple times, leaving her lifeless body draped over the couch where she had once laughed and shared stories with her friends. As a final act of depravity, Atkins scrawled the word "pig" on the front door using Sharon Tate's blood as a macabre signature to their gruesome work. With that chilling message left behind, they fled into the night, leaving a scene of unimaginable horror in their wake. As the first light of August 9th pierced through the darkness, it unveiled a scene that would send shockwaves throughout Hollywood and beyond. Winifred Chapman, housekeeper for Sharon Tate and Roman Polanski, arrived at work on this fateful day, wholly unprepared for the gruesome discovery awaiting her inside. As she stepped into the property, terror gripped her heart as she encountered a nightmarish tableau, blood-soaked bodies strewn across the living room floor, with lifeless eyes staring into oblivion. Overwhelmed by panic, she fled from the house to alert authorities about this macabre find. When investigators descended upon Cielo Drive, an eerie silence greeted them, punctuated only by the soft whimpers of Sharon Tate's beloved dog, who had miraculously survived the carnage unscathed. The once glamorous home now resembled something out of a horror film, its walls splattered with crimson stains, while remnants of unimaginable brutality lay scattered in every corner. The sheer savagery inflicted upon these victims left even seasoned detectives reeling in disbelief. Autopsy reports painted a chilling picture. Jay Sebring shot once before being stabbed 7 times, Wojciech Frykowski enduring 51 stab wounds, 2 gunshot wounds, and 13 blows to his head, Abigail Folger sustaining 28 knife-inflicted injuries, Stephen Parent tragically cut down by 4 bullets, all while Sharon Tate suffered 16 stab wounds despite pleading desperately for mercy. Investigators meticulously combed through every inch of the crime scene searching for fingerprints or other forensic evidence that might point them towards those responsible for such heinous acts. It was during this painstaking process they discovered Susan Atkins's bloody fingerprint on the front door, where "pig" had been scrawled using Tate's own blood. This crucial piece of evidence led them down a twisted path surrounding Charles Manson and his followers known as the Family. As they delved deeper into this sinister world, it became increasingly clear that the slaughter at Cielo Drive was far from an isolated incident. Another chilling crime had been committed just one day later, with all signs pointing to Manson's disciples as the culprits. As word of these horrifying events spread like wildfire through the media, fear gripped Los Angeles. Residents locked their doors and wondered who might be next on Manson's hit list. The city held its breath in anticipation, while investigators raced against time to bring those responsible for these atrocities to justice, knowing that every moment counted before more lives were potentially lost. On August 10th, as Los Angeles trembled in fear from the previous night's carnage at Cielo Drive, a new chapter of horror was about to unfold. Charles Manson himself led 6 devoted followers: Tex Watson, Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, Linda Kasabian, Leslie Van Houten, and Steve Clem Grogan, on another mission of terror that would shake the city to its core. Their unsuspecting victims this time were Leno LaBianca, a supermarket executive, and his wife Rosemary. Nestled away from Hollywood's glitz in their quiet residential neighborhood home, they had no idea what monstrous fate awaited them behind their very own walls. Under the veil of darkness, Manson stealthily entered the LaBianca residence alone, while his disciples lurked nearby. He bound Leno and Rosemary with menacing precision before leaving them vulnerable and terrified, returning outside to deliver chilling instructions for his loyal followers to execute without question or mercy. As Manson departed from the scene like a sinister puppet master pulling strings from afar, his cold-blooded killers invaded the LaBianca home with deadly intent. They viciously stabbed both Leno and Rosemary multiple times using knives found within the house itself, turning everyday kitchen tools into instruments of destruction. The eerie echoes of Sharon Tate's murder reverberated through these gruesome acts, cryptic messages written in blood-adorned walls throughout the property. The living room wall bore the ominous phrase, "Death to pigs," while an unsettling misspelled message, "Helter Sick Skelter," stained the refrigerator door, taunting authorities who sought answers amidst chaos. With 2 seemingly unrelated yet equally brutal crime scenes discovered just days apart, investigators scrambled to uncover connections between these horrific events. Panic tightened its grip on Los Angeles as residents questioned who could be responsible for such atrocities and whether anyone was truly safe in their own homes. As detectives pieced together the bloody puzzle linking cryptic messages and shared modus operandi, they found themselves delving deeper into a twisted world of manipulation, drugs, and violence. It soon became apparent that seemingly ordinary individuals had been transformed into merciless killers under the spell of one man's demented vision, Charles Manson. The more details surfaced about the family and their involvement in these nightmarish murders, the more chilling it became to comprehend just how far some people would go when influenced by a charismatic leader harboring sinister intentions. As the investigation into the Tate and LaBianca murders intensified, authorities faced a daunting task, unraveling evidence from 2 separate crime scenes to identify those responsible for these heinous acts. Fear gripped Los Angeles, making it crucial for investigators to act swiftly before more lives were endangered. A major breakthrough emerged when Susan Atkins's bloody fingerprint was discovered on Sharon Tate's front door. This vital piece of evidence set detectives on a path that would ultimately expose Charles Manson and his followers as the orchestrators behind these gruesome killings. Further examination of both crime scenes unveiled additional clues pointing towards the family. Distinctive knots used to bind victims at both locations indicated a shared method employed by the killers. Moreover, .22 caliber shell casings found at Cielo Drive matched those recovered from the LaBianca residence, suggesting that the same weapon had been utilized in both attacks. Forensic experts played an indispensable role in connecting Manson's followers to these brutal crimes. Tire tracks near the Tate property traced back to a vehicle owned by one of Manson's associates, while hair samples collected from both scenes provided further links to members of the family. Detectives tirelessly gathered evidence against Manson and his disciples, conducting interviews with individuals who had crossed paths with this enigmatic figure or his loyal followers. These conversations painted a chilling picture of life within the family, revealing tales of manipulation, drug use, and violence under Manson's watchful eye. One key witness proved instrumental in bringing this twisted tale out of obscurity: Linda Kasabian. Present during both nights of murder but not directly involved herself, she agreed to testify against her former comrades in exchange for immunity from prosecution. Her detailed account offered invaluable insight into Manson's mindset and his followers, along with a step-by-step recounting of events that transpired during those fateful August nights in 1969. With mounting evidence against them piling up like dark clouds on the horizon, it was only a matter of time before Charles Manson and his murderous disciples faced justice. As their sinister secrets were laid bare for all to see, the world recoiled in horror at the true extent of their depravity, leaving many to wonder what other ghastly details might yet be uncovered. The chilling details of these horrific crimes sent shivers down the spines of those who heard them, evoking deep sorrow and empathy for the victims and their families. The lives that were so brutally cut short left a void in the hearts of loved ones, forever haunted by the terrifying events that unfolded during those dark nights in August 1969. Sharon Tate's family grappled with her tragic death, as well as the loss of her unborn child. Her father, Paul Tate, channeled his grief into action, becoming an advocate for victims' rights, dedicating every waking moment to ensuring others did not suffer at the hands of monsters like Manson and his followers. Jay Sebring's untimely passing cast a shadow over his family, but they chose to remember him as a talented hairstylist, brimming with passion and ambition. His legacy lived on through his innovative contributions to fashion and beauty, shaping trends even after he was gone. Wojciech Frykowski's friends cherished memories of him as a kind-hearted man, whose dreams of Hollywood success never faltered despite life's challenges. He remained determined to make it big in Tinseltown until fate cruelly intervened. Abigail Folger's memory burned bright among her loved ones as they recalled her intelligence, compassion, and dedication to helping those less fortunate than herself. As heiress to the Folger coffee fortune, she generously supported numerous charitable causes, leaving behind an indelible impact on countless lives touched by her kindness. The LaBianca couple was remembered fondly within their community for their warmth towards neighbors and unwavering devotion to each other. Their brutal murders shocked everyone who knew them, casting darkness upon once-cherished memories filled with love and laughter shared amongst friends. Stephen Parent's young life ended before its prime, an innocent victim swept up in circumstances beyond comprehension or control. Grief-stricken parents mourned deeply for their son, whose potential tragically remained unfulfilled due to this senseless act of violence. In the aftermath of these brutal crimes, survivors and family members were left with shattered lives, trying to make sense of a world forever tainted by Manson's twisted vision. Their strength and resilience in the face of such unimaginable pain bore witness to the human spirit's capacity for healing even amidst darkness. As we delve deeper into the story, unanswered questions linger like ghosts in the shadows. What could have possibly driven Manson and his followers down this path of destruction? And what other horrors might they have committed had they not been caught? As our journey continues, prepare yourself for more chilling revelations that will leave you questioning just how far some people can be pushed when under the spell of another's sinister influence. As the world struggled to comprehend how such horrific crimes could be committed by seemingly ordinary people, attention turned towards Charles Manson and his followers, a group of individuals who had been transformed into cold-blooded killers under his malevolent influence. Born in 1934 to an unwed teenage mother with a history of criminal behavior, Charles Manson's early life was marked by instability, neglect, and abuse. He spent much of his childhood shuffled between relatives' homes and juvenile detention centers, where he honed skills that would ultimately lead him down a dark path. During his time in prison for various offenses, Manson became obsessed with starting a race war, which he believed would lead to societal collapse and allow him to rise as its new leader. Drawing inspiration from sources like the Beatles' song Helter Skelter, he interpreted it as a prophecy foretelling this apocalyptic vision. Upon his release from prison in 1967, Manson began gathering followers drawn to his charismatic personality and promises of spiritual enlightenment through drugs, sex, and music. These vulnerable young men and women found themselves ensnared within the family, living together on the Spahn Ranch, engaging in bizarre rituals designed to break down their sense of self while binding them ever closer to their enigmatic leader. Manson's hold over these impressionable minds grew stronger each day. His desire for power led him to manipulate members into believing they were destined to play pivotal roles in bringing about helter-skelter. Using fear tactics and psychological manipulation, Manson bent them to his will without question or hesitation. As investigators delved deeper into the lives of each member of the family, they uncovered disturbing facts about their backgrounds, many stemming from broken homes or troubled pasts. Experts have suggested factors such as drug use, isolation from society, emotional vulnerability, and indoctrination played significant roles in shaping their willingness to follow Manson's orders blindly. But what remains most chilling is the transformation of these seemingly ordinary individuals into remorseless killers under Manson's twisted vision. As they carried out his sinister orders, one can't help but wonder what other dark secrets may have been lurking within their minds, waiting for an opportunity to unleash further destruction. As we continue our journey through this harrowing tale, unanswered questions linger like ghosts in the shadows. What drove each member of the family to commit such unspeakable acts against innocent victims? And what other horrors might they have committed had they not been caught? Prepare yourself for more chilling revelations that will leave you questioning just how far some people can be pushed when under the spell of another's sinister influence. As authorities tightened the noose around Charles Manson and his followers, a massive manhunt ensued to apprehend those responsible for the heinous Tate and LaBianca murders. With Linda Kasabian's damning testimony shedding light on the family and their involvement in these brutal crimes, it was only a matter of time before they would face justice. On August 16, 1969, just days after the chilling killings, police stormed Spahn Ranch during an unrelated raid, capturing several members of Manson's group, but failing to seize him at that moment. This pivotal event signaled the beginning of the end for the family, as investigators relentlessly pursued evidence linking them to the nightmarish events earlier that month. Manson's eventual capture occurred in October 1969, when another raid targeted Barker Ranch, one of his remote hideouts nestled deep within Death Valley. Led away by officers with his head shaved and an X carved into his forehead, later morphed into a swastika, there could be no doubt this enigmatic figure wielded dark power over those who had blindly followed him down a path of destruction. During the subsequent trial that captivated audiences worldwide, harrowing details emerged about life within the family and their twisted motives behind these senseless acts of violence. Prosecutors unveiled overwhelming evidence against Manson and his co-defendants, Tex Watson, Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, and Leslie Van Houten, including bone-chilling confessions from some involved in executing these brutal attacks. In January 1971, following months filled with shocking revelations and riveting courtroom drama, Charles Manson, along with Watson, Atkins, Krenwinkel, and Van Houten, were found guilty on multiple counts of murder and conspiracy to commit murder. Initially sentenced to death, however, California's abolition of capital punishment in 1972 led to commuted sentences. Life imprisonment instead awaited them. In the trial's aftermath, former family members grappled with the consequences of their actions. Some, like Linda Kasabian and Catherine Scher, distanced themselves from Manson's influence and attempted to rebuild their lives, forever haunted by memories of a past they could never fully escape. Others remained loyal to their twisted leader, even as he languished behind bars, serving out his life sentence until his death in 2017 at the age of 83. For those who lost loved ones during that horrifying weekend in August 1969, true closure or justice remains elusive. However, with Charles Manson and his followers finally held accountable for their unspeakable crimes, perhaps some semblance of peace can be found amidst this chilling chapter of darkness. As our harrowing journey through one of the darkest chapters in true crime history draws to a close, we cannot help but feel haunted by the chilling events that transpired on those fateful nights in August 1969. The merciless slayings of Sharon Tate, Jay Sebring, Wojciech Frykowski, Abigail Folger, Stephen Parent, Leno LaBianca, and Rosemary LaBianca serve as a stark reminder of the depths human beings can sink when swayed by a charismatic figure with malevolent intentions. The tale of Charles Manson and his followers stands as a grim warning about manipulation, vulnerability, and the power one person can wield over others. It compels us to confront disquieting questions about how seemingly ordinary individuals could be led astray, perpetrating unspeakable acts against innocent victims under the spell of another's twisted vision. In honoring the memory of those whose lives were brutally cut short at the hands of the family, we must also recognize our responsibility to remain vigilant against those who would exploit our vulnerabilities for their nefarious purposes. By casting light upon these horrifying stories from yesteryear, we strive to glean valuable lessons that will guide us towards fostering a safer and more compassionate future. As this unsettling saga concludes and leaves an indelible mark on our minds, unanswered questions linger like specters in the shadows. What other horrors might have been unleashed had Manson's deranged disciples not been apprehended? How do we protect ourselves from falling prey to such sinister influences? These are just some of the thought-provoking inquiries that arise while exploring this macabre narrative. Our quest for understanding continues as we delve deeper into true crime tales that both captivate and disturb us, reminding us all too vividly of humanity's darker side. That'll be all for tonight, fellow night owls. We always appreciate your feedback. If there is a notorious killer or sinister story you'd like us to cover, please let us know in the comments, which we check daily. Additionally, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Hitting the notification bell will ensure that you stay up to date with all of our stories while enabling us to continue sharing these spine-chilling true crime tales.